Ladies and gentlemen, I will have a live stream today at around 4 p.m. Pacific time. Definitely be here. We're going to talk about Trump's return to Washington, D.C. CNN, Trump returns to a city tarnished by his legacy with an eye on 2024. Now, I want you to pay attention to this, ladies and gentlemen, and share this segment with anyone who thinks that there's no reason to vote for Trump, or anyone who doesn't understand why Donald Trump will get around half the electorate every time he runs. Either over half or around half the electorate. Less than half the electorate. Okay. U.S. median income, 2019 record high. So you can look. CNN, median income, this was 2 years ago, hit record high in 2019. Reuters, U.S. median income hit record high, 68,700. It is now down, 4,000 from the record high. Okay? Household income, real median household income was at record highs. Families across the country were making more money under Trump. The economy was doing better, but you can look at the numbers. It was 68,700, and it was a record. Okay, poverty fell. So before we get to poverty being the lowest ever on record, this is very important for people to understand who just can't understand why anyone would vote for Trump. If you look at the St. Louis Fed chart, real median personal income was at a record high of $36,426. It is now a lot lower. Okay? So $36,426 real median personal income. That's taking into account inflation. Okay? Median income, real median household incomes hit a record high of 68,700. Personal incomes hit a record high of $36,426. If I'm reading this correctly. If I'm not reading it correctly, let me know, but I think I'm reading it correctly because I'm looking at it right here. Okay? Income and poverty, census.gov. The 2019 poverty rate of 10.5% is the lowest rate observed since estimates were initially published in 1959. Okay. And this is very, very important because poverty was at record lows and income levels were at record highs. Again, you vote for Trump because poverty was at record lows and income levels were at record highs. He's not the authoritarian the far left says he is. Okay, the far left socialist, that I was once a part of that. Well, not a socialist, but I was the biggest Bernie Sanders booster on the internet, according to the Huffington Post. And the unofficial scribe of Sanders was the most hardcore voters, according to the Washington Post, at one point. My entire life, I was a liberal Democrat, then became a Bernie Sanders supporter. Now I support Donald Trump and DeSantis, but I want Trump in 2024. Because I want poverty to decrease, and I want incomes to increase. That, in addition to, I want a president with the courage and the know-how to negotiate the Doha Agreement, which Biden completely botched, but that was a reversal of 20 years of failed Lincoln Project foreign policy and Democratic establishment foreign policy. So Americans were brought home in the most haphazard manner because Biden completely botched it. Mashed potato brains. It was a May 1st, 2021 withdrawal. They did not withdraw on May 1st. That was one of the biggest issues. But when you hear people say, Trump abandoned his voters. No. It's the current administration, AOC in the House, Biden in the Oval Office, Schumer in the Senate. It's Democrats who have abandoned their voters. Poverty is up. And we're going into 2 years into Joe's administration, so I don't want to hear anything about Trump. I don't want to hear anything about when Democrats gleefully tanked the economy 2 years ago. They did that gleefully. okay, with unelected officials and bureaucrats. And by the way, hit subscribe to the Stock Market Crash and Nuclear Confrontation channel. I have a very important segment on food shortages. Yes, food shortages. At least Trump isn't tweeting. Do you understand? There are people in this country, you know them. They're wonderful, highly educated, morally superior, absolutely fantastic liberal Democrats. They would rather have food shortages, poverty at much higher than 2019. All of these problems, energy crisis, all of these problems, stagflation, layoffs, interest rates going up, GDP contracting, we're in a recession. They'd rather have that as long as Trump doesn't tweet. Do you understand? The good Republican is Adam Kinzinger. Even though Adam Kinzinger voted alongside Trump in Congress 90+% of the time, voted for him 2 years ago, and voted against the first impeachment. Those are actually good things he did. Then he became the good Republican, like the Lincoln Project. Don't you get these people like, I don't like Trump's personality. Trump did this and that, in January 2 years ago. How do you know? Oh, the evidence is very alarming. What evidence? He didn't even get a chance to cross-examine any witnesses. This was not a trial. This was, the committee is not presenting evidence. It's presenting gossip and hearsay. The fact that people are under oath is completely irrelevant because they can say anything, and Democrats and the DOJ and the Garland will never take them to task or convict them or indict them for perjury if they indeed committed perjury. So anyway, that's a whole other story. And now you have Chuck Grassley calling out the Federal Bureau of Investigation and Director Wray. And Chuck Grassley is almost certainly correct that they're trying to, yet again, cover up a massive scandal. First it was Comey with the Clinton top secret intelligence on private servers running outside of the United States government, by the way. How do you transfer top secret intelligence onto servers running outside of the United States government? Is that even possible? Tell me a crime that Trump committed that's ever even close to that. First of all, tell me a crime he committed. They can't even get him on a crime. You could easily indict anybody with that. And Comey went to bat, but I want a Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump 2024. Believe me, I pray for that every day. Hillary Clinton must run against Trump. It's 2016, she was cheated by the Kremlin. Come on. Anyway, I want a Hillary Trump 2020. I think Hillary's going to be the nominee. I keep saying that. I say, look, I'm not right about everything, but I've been right about major calls. I said that Clinton would lose to Trump. I said that there would be a stock market crash this year and an economic decline, and we're seeing all of that, and it's only going to get worse. But he returns to D.C., a tarnished legacy, a controversial return. And then you have poverty rate, 14.4% in 2022, 10.5% in 2019. And I'm not bringing up the last year of his presidency because Andrew Cuomo got an Emmy for tanking his state's economy. But see again, they would rather have higher poverty rates than, God forbid, have Trump on Twitter. They're obsessed. The cult of personality is actually an obsession of people who don't like Trump. It's nothing to do with people who vote for Trump. People who vote for Trump want a great economy. We had a great economy. I'm giving you the numbers. You can look it up for yourself. Real household, real median, personal incomes were all up. Poverty was at a record low. Poverty is now higher. Incomes are now lower. Inflation is at 9.1%, only getting worse. Gas prices will go back up. Diesel prices, unfortunately, will go back up. And that's going to hurt and hurt the economy even more. Walmart, Target, all of these retailers are hurting now. Okay? The Guardian, he's back. Trump returns to Washington for the first time since leaving. CNN, Pence to offer roadmap for conservatives in D.C. speech ahead of Trump. Why do you think CNN and Democrats love Pence and Kinzinger and Cheney? Because there's no way any of these people defeat a Democrat on the national stage. Okay, it would be the equivalent of a football team wanting the worst possible opponent to get into the playoffs. So it's not rocket science. And then you get like, I love the New York Post and I love the Washington Examiner and I respect the journalists there. I have no clue like what they're thinking. Condemning Trump because of hearsay and gossip. It's like, well, yeah, there's a lot of things he could have done, but you know what? He did a lot more than Hillary did during her major scandal, which we won't get into now, where lives were lost because of her incompetence. Okay? Trump did not control every single, I don't even want to get into it, but he didn't tell people to commit crimes. He doesn't control the minds of his supporters. Okay? And he wasn't convicted of a crime. And he wasn't given a defense during this congressional committee. So, and there were no Republicans on there, or Trump Republicans. There were two people who were never Trumpers. You might as well have had two other Democrats. So, and this hearsay and gossip about Trump, that he knew his supporters were armed, and he knew this, and he knew that. We don't know anything that was going on other than the hearsay and gossip. Furthermore, there was an interaction between Ted Cruz and a representative of a law enforcement agency we won't get into. And so, I don't know we had a great economy, and both the Washington Examiner and New York Post, I respect them greatly, they know very well he was set up and framed. And so I want to know if if Joe or DeSantis, I love DeSantis too, but if Hillary, if anyone was set up and framed by the direct political rivals, the way Trump was, with a dossier purchased and funneled through the U.S. government and BuzzFeed publishing the dossier, and the dossier wasn't against Twitter guidelines, even though it was completely fake news, I want to know if any other person could survive that onslaught, that media frenzy and hysteria for 4, 5, 6 years. Trump is not perfect, okay? But nobody could survive the media that he has to deal with. Nobody. No matter how civil and nice they are. Okay? The biggest issue with Mitt Romney was putting his dog on top of his car, and that nowadays they would call for him to go to The Hague. But anyway, hit subscribe to this channel. He returns to D.C. I haven't even told you why, for a speech. And Trump's set for controversial return. It's not controversial to anyone but Democrats. American First Policy Institute, and he's going to speak there, and he returns to D.C. after having a great economy, and an economy that worked for everybody, where people were happier generally. People were happier generally under Trump. You know who wasn't happy? The media, the establishment, and never Trumpers, all two of them, or three of them, and There's a concerted effort to stop this man from becoming president again, despite a stellar economic performance. Oh, and by the way, 200,000 manufacturing jobs lost under President Obama, according to CNN. So, and with 300,000 to 500,000 under Trump gained before his last year in office, when Democrats gleefully tanked the economy because, to help you. So, I don't want to hear about Trump ever turning his back on his voters. No. Trump gave his voters everything he could. And it's mashed potato brains in the Oval Office now that is... I mean, do you like the poverty and the record highs in inflation and the recession we're in now? My God, you can't deal with Trump's tweets? My God, you can't just ignore Trump's tweets? He's not even on Twitter. But let's say he gets back. You can't ignore him and just enjoy a great economy and leave it at that? Because everything they level at him is a lie anyway. He wasn't installed by the Kremlin. And if you find out, God forbid, that Democrats are even more corrupt than you thought, it's not a plot by another country. They're actually more corrupt. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe to this channel. Be here at 4 p.m. Pacific or so for the live stream. I might do it at 3:30 actually. I'm not sure. Or probably 4 p.m. And I will have a live stream also tonight, later in the evening at around 9 p.m. I'll have an upload at, I would say, 12:30 or 1 p.m., so be here at 1 p.m. Thanks, everybody.